Hello to everyone. Today I'll tell you what I did. I ranked all of the Panic at the Disco albums, all the way from If You Can't Sweat Out to Viva Las Vengeance. And what brought upon my wanting to make this video was I was watching some kind of YouTube video. Some guy was talking about Panic at the Disco, and he said something, and it was just incredibly wrong. And I just wanted to come on here and make my video because if you go to the early videos of my YouTube channel, you can see that I have been a Panic at the Disco fan. Like when I was in middle school, for multiple years, I have been listening to Panic at the Disco. I've put in my time of being a fan to be able to speak on this. You feel me? So I just wanted to come on here and rank all the albums. I'm not doing one of those things where it's a tier list because I don't know how to edit that into my video. But this is just my commentary on the different Panic at the Disco albums. Okay, so number 7, so the worst album I have as Viva Las Vengeance. Respectfully, I think pretty much everybody can agree it is the worst Panic at the Disco album there ever was. Even when I was listening to the album, if you go into the comments, there'll be people commenting oh, I love Brendan, but this sound just really isn't for me. And they're trying to be nice, they're not trying to be rude, but they just don't like it. And respectfully, it's just not very good. Viva Las Vengeance, I could listen to that one, right? And the one that has grown on me maybe a little bit is Local God, but besides that, I just cannot listen to it. It's respectfully just not it. And I understand, Brendan wanted to, this is the last album he wanted to, and that's fine. But I'll tell you from an audience member, that is not what's going to get me to buy an album. I have not a single copy of this album in my house. I don't plan on ever buying it. Sorry, that sounded kind of rude. But yeah, it's respectfully, I don't like the sound of it. I could go into, oh, blah, 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 blah. No, I just really don't have anything to say. I just don't like it. Next up, I have Vices and Virtues, which I know is very, very low. And it felt wrong to me to put that there, especially considering, Nearly Witches is on it. Obviously, Nearly Witches is great because Ryan wrote it, cough, cough. Whereas this other stuff, when we don't have Ryan anymore, I will say, I do I have gotten down to Ballad of Mona Lisa, Sarah Smiles, of course, right? But then there's other songs on there, like Memories, for example. I just don't like it all. I would never listen to it. I had to make sure to put it into a private, browser, logged out of my YouTube so that it wouldn't mess up my, algorithm, because I just don't want to listen. A lot of the vibe of it, I just really don't like, respectfully. A lot of more of their, I don't know how to explain, their aesthetic of this time, not as much of a fan of, obviously, can't compare to, A Few of You Can't Sweat Out, but, I think this album, I feel was the first album they fell off a little bit. I think it's one of the best examples of the impact that Ryan had on the band, that when he's gone, we see what happens, respectfully. I know a lot of people love Vice and Virtues, and I do listen to some songs off of it, but not really. So that's number 6. Number 5, I have Pray for the Wicked, and I know some people might be thinking, wow, that's pretty low, depending on, what albums you like. I don't know. I remember being super excited when this album came out, when it came out at midnight or whatever, I was staying up until midnight, and I listened to it, and I was like, what is this? There's definitely some songs off of it that I have liked. For example, Silver Lining, Say Amen, Saturday Night, etc. King of the Clouds, that is goated song. King of the Clouds should have been way more big and way more promoted than some of these other songs. However, this is where we have high hopes. We don't really need it, respectfully. Hey Look Ma, I Made It, I'm not the biggest fan ever either. But some of them are just, respectfully, not all that good. Respectfully. Okay, Dancing's Not a Crime. What do we need that for? Respectfully. I understand that some people have, a lot of good songs where they don't have to be deep. They're just feel good songs that you dance to and whatever. And you know what? There's certain people that are very, very good at that. There's a lot of, Meghan Trainor, female empowerment songs, and Lizzo has songs like that. But I don't really need that from Panic at the Disco, respectfully. I don't really want, I don't know. The album cover, I absolutely despise. I think this album cover is absolutely terrible. What's the artistic vision of it? I just don't understand. And even if I do understand, I don't like it. Number 4, I have Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die, which I was kind of, I was considering flipping this one and Pray for the Wicked, but I respect about Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die that, the vibe, it has a coherent vibe of, I guess like an 80s kind of vibe. I don't know. That being said, there's a lot of good songs on here. I feel like This Is Gospel is kind of the beginning of getting into more of the, you know, Death of a Bachelor kind of sound, like album kind of sound. That and like Miss Jackson. There's a lot of songs on here that aren't necessarily bad, but I just don't really get the point. Like, they just seem kind of like fluff to me. For example, Girl That You Love, Far Too Young to Die, whatever. The music video, first of all, Nicotine, I don't like that song. It should have never been a single. And respectfully, the music video is absolutely pointless. They should have never had a music video for that song. That music video is worse than the music video for Valoria by the Pixies. And if you know what I'm talking about, then literally all they do is like jump over some rocks and like a short video, but then they spread it out over a long period of time. And it's still better and more pleasing to watch than this Nicotine music video. I absolutely despise it. I also don't like the album cover. Once again, with just Brendan Urie on the cover, Smoke the Super Cigarette. This, I feel like, was the beginning of it becoming the Brendan Urie show, and I don't like it. I feel like there were a lot more moments in which they could have utilized Dallin Weekes here, and he would have been very good for this kind of sound, but they did not. So yeah, that's why this is number 4. Here's the thing. Any other band, I feel like Death of a Bachelor would have been like their top album, were it not for, you know, the other 2 albums that Panic Disco put out. I feel like it's a great, you know, like pop, like rock album. Like, it's just a great rock album. It's kind of like you can party to it, dance to it. I don't know. A lot of great songs on here. For example, Don't Threaten Me with a Good Time. That's one of the first few Panic Disco songs that I was getting into. You know, Death of a Bachelor, it's a great, okay. Crazy Equals Genius, okay, Golden Days, that's great. Like, there's very few songs on here that, even if I don't like, or, you know, that they're not my favorite, that I would skip them. Like, I feel like I wouldn't have to skip any of these songs. I am not a fan of the Emperor's New Clothes music video. He didn't need to do that. I'm also not a fan of the LA Diva Team music video. He didn't need to do that, and I feel like he needs to get out of that kind of whatever. But, yeah, it sounds good to listen to, and it really is a great album. Like, I feel like Pray for the Wicked, he tried kind of to do Death of a Bachelor again, but like, Death of a Bachelor is like one of those like once in a lifetime albums. I feel like you can't just like recreate that, and I feel like that's kind of why Pray for the Wicked fell a little flat, because he tried to re-get some of that vibe, if that makes sense, and it just didn't work. I don't know, but that's number 3. So everybody's wondering, you know, what's number 2? Which one's number 1? Where are they going to be? I do have Pretty Odd as number 2. And, you know, Pretty Odd as number 2 is not, haha, you know, Fever 1. It's like, no. Like, they're literally such great albums. Like, I generally don't even think it takes anything away from, you know, Pretty Odd that I put it at number 2. I was considering putting Pretty Odd at number 1 because, you know, I feel different ways on different times that I listen to it. However, and this is a very, very good album. The production is like phenomenal on this album. Ryan Ross had a lot to do with this album, you know, in the creative whatever. He really did his big one here, let me say. There are some songs in here that I just don't quite like as much. For example, Past Day Cheval, you know, From a Mountain in the Middle of the Cabins. But there also are songs that I absolutely love. For example, 9 in the Afternoon, Gotta Love It, That Green Gentleman. For example, The Piano Knows Something I Don't Know, She Had the World, Behind the Sea, Mad as Rabbits. Like, there's literally so many great songs on here. And here's another thing. The power of Pretty Odd, like there's been times that I've listened to it and I just feel so happy. And I'll tell you, Fever does not do that for me. Like, it definitely is a different kind of energy, but Fever doesn't do that for me. Like, if you're having a bad day, just sit down and listen to Pretty Odd. It's such a great album. They were really onto something here. I don't like their outfits as much as like Fever and that kind of stuff, but I absolutely love this album, and it is number 2. And number 1, I have A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. Of course, gotta love it. I really don't have, okay, okay, Ryan Ross, phenomenal songwriter here. He really flexed on this one, okay? Just the whole vibe that they have, the words that they use in their songs, you know, like surreptitious and formaldehyde. I don't know how to explain this, but the way it all comes together, it's just a certain vibe and a certain thing, and it just all came together. Every single part of it. The outfits, for example, the rose vest, absolutely phenomenal. I just had somebody comment on, I made a rose vest video like years ago when I was in maybe when I was in middle school. Somebody commented like, what is this? It's like, okay, that was a pop culture moment. Okay, and there's things like the Rye Hawk, and it's like you had to be there. I wasn't there. I was I was just born in 2005 when this album came out. So I wasn't even a year old when this album came out. However, like even so, like you had to be there. You know what I'm saying? Live in Denver is like one of my favorite music live, performances ever. That and, I like, the MTV Unplugged performance by Nirvana as I wear my Nirvana shirt. But like literally every single thing about this time, the way they were just like, even in interviews or different things, like every single thing about this, for example, listen to the genius here. So the last song before the intermission is called Lying is the Most Fun a Girl Can Have Without Taking Her Clothes Off. And then after the intermission, the song, But It's Better If You Do. Lying is the most fun a girl can have without taking her clothes off, but it's better if you do. Like, I don't know how to explain this, but they're just like, this is like quite some genius here. Like, it's literally quite some genius here. And I feel like other bands have tried to replicate like what they had around this time, and they cannot do the same. Like they were literally like, it was literally just genius. Like every single thing about this time, it was just so great. And sometimes I do think, maybe Pretty Odd deserves to be above this, but I do really love this album. And so yeah, that's why it's number 1. If anybody else has any, if they want to put their list, their ranking in the comments, yeah, but that is my list. So I have it on CD. I was gonna bring my CDs out so that I could show them here, but